Hi, everybody. Welcome to ADHD Eavesdrop, where you can be a butterfly on the wall and listen in on my conversations. Today, I'm joined by author and podcaster Randi-lee Bowslaugh, and we're talking neurodivergence, diagnosis journeys, and what it really looks like to grieve and cope. Let's get into it. Randy, it's so great to have you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So it's good to be here. You have such good vibe energy already, so I love it. So I'm in Canada, and for myself, I have autism and depression and PTSD and lots of things. I'm also a mom to two grown children now. That's scary. And my youngest has autism, ADHD, depression, all the things. And I'm a very proud grandma, believe it or not. I do. I have my grandbaby. Married 13 years now. Oh,
How
yeah.
old is your grandbaby?
He is 5.5 already.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just had our 13-year wedding anniversary. I have lots of fur babies. I'm an author. I also have my own podcast, The Ride or Die Show, and I'm delving into some new.
Do tell.
And this is you're the first guys to know. So I am turning one of my books into an indie film. Very early stages, like I said, you're the first one to actually have an official media announcement. Congratulations.
Okay. Do we know the book?
Yes, so the book is Goodbye Too Soon, and that one is about my brother's death by drug overdose and how as a family we dealt with it and coped and that kind of thing. So very early stages, still working on the script and doing some research for how to go about doing this. I don't know, but it's gonna be fun. And, gives me something new to hyper focus on, which is fantastic.
Nice. That's awesome. I was in a film with my son-in-law and my daughter last year, or was it last year? Recently, within the last couple of years, yeah, and a ton of fun, a lot of work,
I believe it.
and it's very different if you've ever done theater as
Yes,
opposed to, like, acting on screen, it's very different.
and that's what I'm, trying to figure out and navigate and learn because I was a theater kid. I did all sorts of plays. I wrote plays, I directed them, I acted in them, I love all that stuff, and when I was little, I was gonna be a famous actor, but I guess, like, being on podcasts and stuff kinda counts, right?
We are so famous now. Absolutely.
The help of my best friend because she likes research. I hate it. So she's doing the research stuff, and I'm doing what I consider the fun stuff, and she considers the hard stuff, so we're a perfect team. So I'm working on the script right now and trying to get some Facebook and Instagram pages up so people can like follow along. So, I mean, they're up, but I have not promoted them yet, but technically they are up.
Well, and I would say we're starting to promote here.
Right? Exactly.
There
Doing
we
it.
go, there we go.
That's
Yeah,
that's
you'll have
scary.
to I love to see, small films made with independent people and, obviously cinematography is wonderful, but there's nothing like making a small film with a group of people who like work so well together. And it always seems like you get a great group of people on
Yeah,
set.
I'm really excited. Where I live, there's a local college that has a radio and broadcast and like film and stuff program. So I'm hoping to try and grab some kids out. Well, I mean, they're adults, but some kids out of there. And there's also a university that has some different stuff local to us. So I'm hoping maybe, I don't know, they got a co-op or something.
Well, good luck to you. I will be looking for that. I hope that, yeah, I hope it comes to fruition and it happens in a positive way because it can be so much fun. But good luck on that research.
Thank you very much. But for anybody who's looking for it, like I said, the Facebook and Instagram are technically up. So Goodbye Too Soon, the movie, and you should find it. There's like nothing posted yet, but you can follow because there will be stuff.
There you go. So, Randy, tell me a little bit. I know you said you have autism, you have kiddos with autism and ADHD. I love to hear people's diagnosis stories and how they came to find out about their fun little gift that they've been given.
I like that you call it a fun little gift. Back in the day, it was definitely not a fun little gift. It was one that I wanted to return. So I say that because my kid, she's now 18. Oh my goodness. But getting her diagnosed was such a long road, as I'm sure most people's are. I a big part of at least the autism side for her is meltdowns. And we're talking violent yelling, screaming, hitting. So if I could have returned that gift, I think I would have at the time. I love my kid, but no. So she was 8 when she first got diagnosed, and they did start with ADHD, which she definitely has, but a lot of these things, they overlap, right? So they started with just ADHD. That's what it was. And so we had to do, so let me scroll back a little bit. She would be at school and I would get phone calls, go and pick her up all the time. And I mean, we're talking grade 2 and grade 3, and we're trying to get her help. And I'm saying she needs extra support. Well, without a diagnosis here, you're not getting extra support. So it's like this double-edged sword where you know they need it, but they won't do it until you go through the rigmarole of it all. And so and our original family doctor, I said, she needs help. And he very old school, very not believing that females can have these things because they're very male dominated, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he wasn't believing us. So we switched her doctors to actually my husband's family doctor. And we were really lucky because in that office, it was like a practice with multiple physicians, which you don't actually find very often here. And they had a child psychiatrist on staff. Right? Crazy that we got that lucky. We thought we'd be on this giant wait list, but because she worked in that office, we got to see her right away. And from there, they gave, the questionnaire, take this to the teacher, parents fill it out, got the daycare fill it out. And of course, everything came back. Yep, definitely got some ADHD in there. So that was the first step. And along with that came the prescription. You have ADHD, let's try these meds. Oh, it's bad news. It was such bad news. It's part of the gift I wanted to return. So for her, the ADHD meds made her very growly, which sounds weird, but literally you'd be like, oh, hey, Tish, what's up? And you'd be like, "Arr." Like literally that's how she would answer you.
No,
Yeah.
this was not good.
Not good at all. And they're like, well, let's adjust the okay, you're the doctor. Sure, let's try it. No, that didn't work. Let's try a different one. Okay, you're the doctor. Oh my God, no. So, you go through all this and I'm like, I'm taking no, we're done with these ADHD ones. They are not working. A lot of the different kind of coping strategies work, right? Like the set yourself timers and that kind of thing. Great. Let's use the strategies, but the medication for her, no.
Not so much.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so that was around in November of that year. And by the time I want to say it was around April of the next year, she had been diagnosed with sensory integration disorder, mood dysregulation disorder. What was that other one? No, not obsessive. Anyways, the one where you don't do authority. So she had all these.
Oppositional defiance.
Yes, oppositional defiance disorder. There was some other anxiety was in there, depression was in there, all of these things. And then finally we come to the autism diagnosis. I go, oh, that makes so much sense. I'm like, not to say that the other things are not there and playing a part, but this one gives that overarching umbrella of these things. So that was her very long route to diagnosis. And from her being diagnosed, it was probably about, maybe, let's see, she was probably 5 or 6 years before the one day I come out my bedroom. She goes, Mom, I have autism. I got it from you. Yeah, you probably did. Because I used to always be like, oh, she's not weird. She's not different. She's just like her mom. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It didn't dawn on me. So I went and found a doctor that did specifically adults, obviously, because it's very different to diagnose. We've come up with coping strategies over the years. And yep, sure enough, I have it. And that's how I got mine. And then most recently, my older kid who's 21 now, she said that she finally started on some ADHD meds and amazing difference. And I'm like, I knew there was always something that was not wrong. Like you said, it's more of a gift, but something that you needed help with. But
Right.
trying to get doctors to listen to what you have to say, because that's just normal teenage behavior. That's this. Not. It's like, no.
Well, especially when you're talking about girls, because
Yes.
the story is so familiar as far as, well, we went and we got diagnosed with the anxiety and the depression and the this and the that. And finally they get to the place where they're like, well, I suppose even though you are a girl, I have ADHD or autism. It's possible.
Yeah. It's nice that they finally are starting to accept it. But like my husband and I knew something was different for Lev for years, but you can't get the help because yeah, oh they're girls. That's just the way they act. They're just withdrawn. They're just shy. They're just like no.
Shy. Yes, that's one of my favorite ones, the shy. I was not shy, but I've heard it so many times.
Right? That's what they would say. I'm like, she's not shy. She's playing with the kids, but beside them because she's playing like she's 3 when she's 7. Like, this is a significant problem here
There's a
that needs
little
to be
delay.
addressed, right? It's not to say there's anything wrong with her, but like, this is a problem that needs to be addressed.
So, after finding all of this out, what brought you to writing books?
I have always loved writing. When I was little, I used to write like a household newspaper because, my mom needed to hear all about my day. And what movies that we watched together and what food she was cooking for dinner. It's very hilarious. And so I always used to do that and I'd write skits and plays and force my cousins to act them out with me. And so I've always loved writing. But one night in particular, my youngest one, she was probably 27. So she was like 8, 9, like it was after she was diagnosed. So 9, 10 maybe. Anyways, and she is crying her eyes out, just bawling. It's midnight, and she's crying, "Why doesn't anybody like me? Why am I so different?" And I'm like, "Oh, baby, no." And then it got me thinking, because I've been there. I've felt that. But as a parent, I'm like, you want to kind of shield them from all of your trauma and all of your heartache. But at the same time, if you don't share it with them, then now they think that it's just them and nobody else has experienced it. So, poop, I got to start talking about it. And that's when I said, you know what? I'm going to start writing again. I love writing. I'm going to publish a book. I always said I'm going to publish a book, and I did.
So, you have written several different kinds of books too. I mean, you've done like nonfiction, children's books, fiction. Tell me a little bit about your genre choices.
So I always like to say I follow my dopamine. I think a lot of your audience can relate to that, right? If it's something that you're passionate about, that's what you go and you want to focus everything on and do. So that's what I always say. I don't have a system per se. Whatever sparks my dopamine levels, and that's what I run with. I love sharing about mental health because I think it's so important to talk about, but it is such a heavy topic, and that's why I'm like sometimes I just need a break, and that's when I throw in like a kid's book or I did the scary stories because I need to get out of the hard and into something a little more fun.
Yeah, the mental health can get pretty heavy. And it sounds like you've had some things that have cropped up in your life that mental health has probably not helped with.
Just a few, just a couple. Which one do you want to talk about? There's so many.
Well, and I'm curious, you did mention, and you do not have to talk about it if you do not want to, but you said that your brother had passed away.
Yes, so we're going on this was 4 years this year in May, and it was by a drug overdose. So he was 4 years older than me, so we're the same age now. I'm allowed to make jokes, that's how I deal. When it happened, it was shocking and not shocking all at the same time, right? Like he had been using drugs for over 20 years. And so it never surprised me that that's how he died, but of course, getting the phone call about it was the shocking part. And I was the one that ended up having to tell our mom because she was at work, so nobody could get a hold of her because she's very, I'm at work, I'm not answering the phone, which is good. I answer my phone, but anyways. So I ended up having to tell her, and she's not married or anything. So it was her and I that planned the funeral, the viewing, like we planned all the things. And my mom was basically, I mean, when you lose a child, no matter how old that child is, no matter what struggles they're going through, it's heartbreaking. And she was just a mess. And of course, she's going through the guilt of, could I have done anything different? Was I an okay mom? Like, why did he do what he did? Did I screw up somewhere? So I made a lot of those decisions. I planned almost all of it. I would go, yeah, that urn looks really nice, right, mom? And I'd look at her and she's like, sure, yep. So it was
So
really
how did
tough.
that impact like what you write about?
So I actually wrote an entire book about it, and that's the one that I'm turning into the movie.
Right. And I'd
And
love
it
to
is,
hear more about, yeah.
yeah, and it is actually called Goodbye Too Soon. That's what I came up with. And it really, at the time, it was really hard to find the support for like the family side in book form. Like they do have support groups like the Al Anon and stuff, but I didn't want to go to a group. I just wanted to read, right? And so there's lots on grief. There's lots of stuff on grief, but I wanted something specific on grief and addiction and how that kind of plays guilt to the family members. So couldn't find it, so I wrote it.
There you go.
I'm
Perfect.
sure there's others out there, but
Well, and I have really been noticing lately in my world, for some reason, you know how like there's themes that crop up for you.
right, yes.
And for me, grief has been one of those things that has been cropping into my life a lot lately with the people around me. And as a person with autism, I wonder, I have done research about people with ADHD and some of the different ways that we grieve differently. And I'm just curious, going along that lines, is there anything that you have noticed like you're like other people do not do this the way I do this? And I noticed you
Yes.
said I have to make a joke or I have to laugh.
Yeah, so that's one of them. The other one is I seemed like very not robotic, but unattached to the whole thing. My family, like even when my nana and papa died, or my grandma had died 8 years ago now, 9 years ago. So it's been a long time for some people, and even at all of those funerals, they would always be like, "Well, if you can't make it through what you want to say at the funeral, Randy will say it. She's got no problem. She won't cry. It doesn't matter, right?" Like that's just who I am. I'm not like, and it's not to say I don't, but I don't do it the same way. So like I made it through all of the arrangements for Brandon fine and didn't really cry. I cried when we went and cleaned up his room because I'm looking at this room of somebody who, I loved, and there's nothing there but garbage really. So that was an emotional time. But really for the most part, I felt less outwardly emotional. It doesn't mean that inwardly I wasn't, but like a lot of the outward stuff that you see on people, I'm just like, okay, but we have to get this done. So instead of crying over every single picture that we are looking at, how about we just pick them and get it over with? Right? Like, I just want, let's get the tasks done. We can
Hmm.
cry later. So, very task oriented that way. And then at his, at the actual burial, it was COVID when he had died. And it was starting just to come out of it. So at the funeral, you could only have 10 people. But because we were starting to come out, my mom waited to do the burial. And it was about a month later that we finally buried him so that more people could attend. And by then, I'd kind of run through my taskmaster phase because everything was kind of done. But we get there, and at first, everybody goes, "Oh, we didn't talk about who's gonna carry the urn over." Oh my god. I'm like, "I'll do it." And I just picked it up. I'm like, "Hey, let's go." Right? Like, we don't have to have this big family meeting and cry. Like, I'll pick it up and I'll move it. It's an urn, whatever. And then at the end, after the little like we said a few more little words, played a song, whatever. And my mom wanted everybody to go over and talk to Brandon. Not to everyone else, but literally she wanted us to look at the thing and talk to him. And she goes, "But I don't know how to get people to do it." So I'm like, "You tell them to." And I went up to each person. I'm like, "Hey, you need to go do this now because this is what my mom wants and it's her son. So you need to go do this now." Then when it was my turn, I yelled at him. Nobody else seemed to yell at him, but I did. And my godmother was walking by. She noticed I was doing that. And I'm like, and then I had a bit of not a meltdown, but I yelled at everyone else too. I'm like, you're all mad too. You're allowed to be mad just because you're at a funeral. You don't have to pretend you're not mad. Like, why are you all pretending? I think the biggest difference is that uh, for me, and I'm going to assume some other people with autism too, because we're all different. Everybody's different. But
Absolutely.
we are going to get it done what needs done. We'll have the emotional side, but we're going to get done what needs done. And we're not going to pretend that our feelings aren't there. Like, I'm not going to pretend I'm not angry when my brother and this is going to sound horrible, and this is part of my coping strategies for anyone who's dealt with this, but my brother chose to die by drugs instead of go get help, right? Like, that's where I was at the time. I know that it's a disease. I know it's a mental illness, but when you are feeling it, it doesn't feel like that. Right? When I'm having to stand there with my niece and nephew because their dad just died, like there's so many thoughts that go through your head. So yeah, I'm going to be angry. I'm going to be sad. Right? Like there's all these things, and everyone else at the funeral, they will only show they're sad. They'll hold everything else back. Whereas I'm like, I'm not holding it back. Why would I do that? Like, why am I lying?
And us ADHDers are sitting there just sobbing. Um,
Yeah, I'm-
Just the emotions are like taking us over, or we may just be sitting there trying not to laugh inappropriately.
Yeah, right. That's how I was at my uncle's funeral. He died a month ago or 2 months ago now, and yeah, I was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is what we're talking," like, the stories they're saying and everybody's sad, I'm like, "This is hilarious."
Absolutely. Well, and the thing is like, I don't know, like people with ADHD have this tendency, to have the time blindness. And I know people with autism have some of those same issues. But one of the things that happens oftentimes is that everything will feel like it just happened yesterday, and all the emotions will come back at the same intensity as they were at the day that it happened. But a week later, you could have forgotten the person almost even existed.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Out of sight, out of mind, and it's here. And so then there's the guilt. "Oh my gosh, how could I have forgotten this?" And when a week ago, it was as if they had died that day.
Yeah. Yep, it's still yeah, that's 100% true. So, yeah, and even just, like, every so often so my best friend, she has I think it's undiagnosed ADHD, but she's got something going on too, and every so often we'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I meant to text you, like, 4 days ago, but then I just, like, I forgot," and then when as long as you don't delete the text, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I have to tell her something."
Absolutely, you literally forget people are there. It's like,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, I forgot, and I really miss this person?"
Right? I feel bad because I do that with my little sister all the time. I'll be like, "Oh, I gotta tell Leanna this," but I won't have my phone handy, and so out it goes, and then, like, a month later, I'm like, "Oh, crap, I haven't talked to her, and I miss her, and I love her," but, like
Out of sight, out of mind, absolutely. Yeah, you got it going on, girl, just like I do. I, have in my family, we both of my children have ADHD. My husband has ADHD. I have ADHD. My
oh,
mother
you're
has
just a fun
ADHD.
family.
So when you said, that it seemed normal to you, I'm thinking it does seem normal because it's what you live.
Exactly.
So after you were diagnosed and you realized, well, maybe some of this stuff isn't quite normal, well, how did your life change, or did it?
So I always felt like I wasn't normal, right? Like I always felt like I just didn't quite fit in because even like I said, at my grandmother's funeral, because that was pre-diagnosis and things, I was just like, yeah, I'm sad my grandma died. And like I'll have moments where when she first died, she was all about when I was like starting my own business and stuff, like starting my authoring or whatever. I'm like, oh, I gotta tell grandma. Oh, wait, I can't. Oh yeah. And then you get sad because you forgot that it happened, right? But it never occurred to me back then, and then when I was finally diagnosed, I was like, "You know what? Now I don't like yeah, I still feel like me and I still feel like I don't fit in, but now I'm okay with not fitting in."
Right.
Before, I was like, "Why can't I fit in?" Especially in high school, that was the hardest, because everybody's starting to wanna date and stuff, and I'm like, "Can't we just go play Barbie still?" I just wanna play Barbies. And everybody else is dating. I'm like, "This is so boring. Why do I want a boyfriend?" Even now, like I said, I've been married 13 years, been with my husband, for 18 here. And, like, you have your side of the couch, and I have my side of the couch, and unless I come over to you, don't touch me, like, this is my space, and I like it. And it works for him too, so it's great. I think he has it too.
We won't tell him.
No. I we always call him the undiagnosed in the house. That's what me and our youngest say. But, now the biggest change was that I could accept my differences. I didn't feel the need to try and change anymore, and I can finally feel like I can let my quirkiness out instead of having to try and fit in this box that just exasperated my depression because I couldn't fit in this box, but I should have fit in this box. And why can't I? And I must be awful. And right. So now that I'm kind of more okay with who I am and all of my oddness, I'm not as depressed as
Good,
frequently. I mean,
good.
antidepressants help too, but
It's funny though when we get to that acceptance and we're like, first of all, what's quote unquote normal,
right?
um, is kind of dull.
Y-
It's like, who wants to be normal?
Yeah, not this girl.
There's too much going on out there to be it. I think that we are, what would you say, colorful people.
That's why I like the word quirkiness. It's when people are like, "Pick one word to describe you." I'm like, "Quirky," because it's fun to say, and it also is the right word.
It is a good word. Quirky is a good word.
You can use it. It's good.
Well, I might borrow it sometime. So, Randy, believe it or not, we are approaching the end of our time.
Crazy.
I am so grateful and so thankful to you for being vulnerable and going into a topic that is not always lighthearted, is not easy to talk about all the time in being grief. But I think it's important for us to talk about that as well because there is no right or wrong way to grieve.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate you being open and talking about your brother and that and your process.
I think it's important that we share so that people know that they're not all by themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so with that, we've had a great conversation. And I always, at the end of every new conversation I have with a new person, give them one more chance to get the last word in. Sometimes I talk more than
Sometimes I feel like I don't know when to shut up.
so we make sure that you get the last thing in. And so my question for you is if you were able to write a book that was going to impact, we'll say, teenagers with neurodiversity, what would the focus or the message of that book?
That's a good one. So I don't often write for teens, so you picked a hard one. The message would definitely be accepting yourself for who you are. Um, because it's so much easier said than done. And I think it would have honestly, it would have to be written like if I was a teenager back then, I wouldn't have picked up a nonfiction. It wouldn't have happened. So I would actually probably want to write a horror book about it because that's the type of book I would have picked up to read is some kind of suspense horror thriller type deal, but where the main underlying theme, which is blatantly in your face so they get it, because sometimes they don't, accepting yourself would be the what I want them to have.
I love it. Wonderful. So thank you again, Randy. It's been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed talking with you. You are a fun person, and I knew as soon as we started talking, I'm like, oh, she's going to be a good one. I like that.
Excellent. Thank you for having
So
me.
hopefully our butterflies on the wall have liked what they've heard and want to hear more. And so they're going to subscribe and they're going to like and they're going to do all the fun things that they're supposed to do for us. And we'll see you next time.